Back to the 37 Rounds podcast. I'm your host, James Alexander Hobbs, and today we're talking about this weekend's night of boxing. We had two shows, one from DAZN, one from Boxer. One was on the BBC, and obviously one was on the DAZN app. The DAZN fight was probably the bigger fight, and that was the Ben Whittaker versus Benjamin Gavazi fight. We'll come on to that later on, because first we want to speak about the Boxer event that was on the BBC, and it was good to see that boxing was back on the BBC after 25 years. And the main event for that fight was the Frazer Clarke versus Jeamie TKV fight. Now, if any of you guys watched the fight, you'll probably agree with me that it wasn't a great night of boxing all round. I chose to watch the BBC event and then catch the Whittaker fight right after the Frazer Clarke fight, because I thought, you know what, I want to support the BBC in getting views, getting numbers for showing that boxing has a place on the BBC. But it wasn't a great night of boxing. You know, if we start off with the Frazer Clarke versus Jeamie TKV fight, it wasn't great. It was fought head to head, chest to chest. You know, they were a lot of hugging, a lot of, you know, few shots here and there, but the majority of the fight was on the ropes, in the middle, chest to chest, head to head, hugging it out. The 11th round, it got a bit exciting. It looked like Jeamie TKV was going to get Frazer Clarke out there. He looked gone, completely gone. Even when he went back to the corner asking questions, he's non-responsive. He doesn't know where we are, and they're even saying, we're going to have to pull you, we're going to have to pull you. And they probably should have pulled him, probably. I think that would have been a safe shout to pull him. But they didn't. They let him go out, and he survived the 12th round, and Jeamie TKV got the win. I think, along with the majority of people, we had Frazer as the favourite, and I felt like on the final weigh-in, the momentum shifted, and the way Frazer was, I kind of thought, yeah, he's going to go out there and do a number on Jeamie TKV, but he didn't. He didn't, you know. Jeamie TKV stuck to a game plan. He even got a point deducted, but still managed to pull through and win the fight. I think the scorecards at the end, especially one of the judges who had it 115, 113 to Frazer Clarke, I don't think he was watching the same fight. I don't think Frazer won maybe more than 3 rounds in the whole fight, and that was one of them with the point being deducted. It was a very bad display from him. And in fairness, I think both fighters, Frazer Clarke and Jeamie, have reached their ceiling. Obviously, becoming the British champion is a phenomenal achievement. There's no disrespect in saying that you've reached your ceiling as a British champion. A lot of amazing fighters throughout history British fighters have won, obviously, that belt. So amazing to do there. But I think that is their level. That's their level. That's their range. That's their zone. Those guys in the mix there, Frazer Clarke, David Adelaide, Dave Allen, Johnny Fisher, obviously Jeamie TKV now being the champion. I think that's their sector. And Saturday night showed that. Based on that performance, and if you base it off of that performance, I can't see Frazer coming back. I don't know what's left for him. I think retirement's a good shout. I obviously wanted to see him win, wanted to see him get back into a winning sort of frame of mind, become the British champion, and then possibly progress through. But based on that performance, I don't know what's left for him. If he sort of teeters around that zone and fights guys around that range and just sort of stays at that level and tries to win the British title again, you know, later on. And I think for Jeamie TKV, I can't see him becoming a European champion, but definitely as he is the British champion now, I think that's a good level and spot for him to be there and defend it and fight those guys there and see what happens. You know, boxing's a great thing in the sense of anything can happen, and who knows, he might go on and become a European champion. But based on Saturday night, I don't think either man will become a world champion, and I don't think Jeamie TKV will become a European champion. But again, he's a British champion. He's done it. He's achieved an amazing thing. And, you know, it worked for him on the night. I think Frazer Clarke was 270 pounds. He's an absolute unit of a man, and he done the business and he got the result. And definitely, probably the 10th, 11th, and 12th was Jeamie's best moments in the fight. The rest of the fight was not a great fight, but he's done the business. So well done to Jeamie TKV. And it's good to know that both men are healthy and all good. I know definitely during the fight you could see that Jeamie had a big swelling on his eye, and obviously hasn't seemed to affect him. So that's good. And I think Frazer Clarke, they took him to hospital for further checks because, like we said a moment ago, that 11th round, he was just non-responsive after that. He wasn't even there. So that was that one. And I managed to... That fight finished perfectly in time for the Ben Whittaker, Benjamin Gavazi fight. So I managed to catch the ring walk. He comes out to Dizzy Rascal. I thought, okay, here we go. It's going to be a good night. And the fight was over within a minute. It was, a real golfing class. And I'm glad I didn't post my video or my episode before the fight of what I sort of thought was going to go on, because obviously we don't really know much about this Benjamin Gavazi guy. Okay record, but it wasn't, I didn't know. I like Ben Whittaker's flair. I don't necessarily like his antics and his arrogance. And I know he's got a similar style to sort of Prince Nassim, that sort of showmanship, that sort of gesturing your opponent, that sort of belittling them with funny moments and antics. But had I released my episode before the fight, I would have said, I think Ben Whittaker is a phenomenal talent, an Olympic silver medalist. He's got the ability, and he's obviously got the marketing capabilities because he's got a huge following on social media. But I feel like he's got quit in him. And I think that the Liam Cameron fight, where he took him over the rope, he intentionally took him over the rope and then said about the injury because he was getting pasted. So I feel like he's got quit in him. I think Prince Nassim had all the flair, the ability, but he didn't have quit in him. I think Ben has quit in him. And I feel like this fight was a confidence builder. That's what I think this fight was designed for. A confidence builder. Say that, come on, you beat Cameron in the second fight. Get a confidence booster on this one. Let's get you over to America because they're going to love that flair, that flick, that style, that arrogance. They're going to love it. They're going to lap it up. And he's become potentially the new poster boy. He's filling the space that Conor Ben could have filled, if he didn't have the drugs issue. That is the space that Whittaker is now going to occupy. Okay, he's got amateur pedigree. Okay, he's Olympic silver medalist. He's clearly got the skills. He's got the ability. He's in a very tough division. Can't see him being a world champion anytime soon, but he definitely has it in him to become a world champion. Unlike the other, unlike Conor Ben, where it's navigated on name and progression of carefully management and whatnot. Like I said in the previous episode, at the current 145 level, I can't see Conor Ben becoming a world champion. He says all these fights are easy, but he doesn't seem to be wanting to go and do those fights. He thinks he'll have Devin Haney out very quickly. Again, go and take the fight. That'd be great. And he doesn't want to fight for the IBF because of a rehydration clause and X, Y, Z. And I think the reality is that Crocker is just too good at the moment for him. So, but that's a complete another story. We're talking about Saturday night's boxing. I think Ben Whittaker fills that matchroom void. The poster boy, the flair, the talent, the flick, the arrogance, the gesturing, all of that. He fills that void. And, Eddie's going to manage him very well. He'll make a good amount of money. He'll fight some fights that are going to go down this sort of route and, where he's going to get a few knockouts on the record and early stoppages and, wow, this is the guy. But, Saturday night was a complete mismatch. That guy should never have been in that ring. I think even Liam Cameron could have had him out in the first, second or third round. It was huge mismatch, but I feel like it was a confidence booster. And it produced viral clips for Ben. That is going to be all over social media. It gives him another knockout reel, YouTube compilation, all those sorts of things that add to it, because it was a phenomenal knockout. The guy was Gavazi was out on his feet. His arms are back. You know, he knocked him down twice in the first round. Second time, arms are out. He's gone. Good left, right. You know, and it was brilliant. For a highlight reel, is exactly what you want on there. So I would have liked to have seen him. I do enjoy watching him. That's the funny thing. It kind of comes across as if I don't like watching him. I do enjoy watching him. He does produce good moments, and same reason why we all liked Prince Naseem. They produce good moments and are enjoyable to watch. But I do feel like this is the confidence builder and the rebuild under Matchroom. And, you know, that was it really. I did watch the Cameron Vyong and the Gavin Gwen fight. Good fight. That was their second fight. And, you know, Cameron is a young lad, 23. He's, you know, Matchroom's, you know, potential star. But I think he's come up against a real tough test against Gavin Gwen and just can't seem to beat him. I hope they do a trilogy. I hope they do a trilogy of that fight, because I think Gavin won that fight. I had him up 3 rounds on that fight. You know, so of the whole night, that's a fight that I'd recommend watching for boxing fans. It was a good fight, and hopefully we get a trilogy from it. You know, that was fantastic. But other than that, there wasn't really much to shout and rave about. It was kind of a bit of a poor show, really. I'd kind of, like I said, would have liked to have seen the fights the other way around, in the sense of I'd like to see Whittaker have a long, you know, 6, 7, 8 rounder where he shows off his skills, gets a few viral moments. That'd have been good. And then the heavyweights to be over and done within the first 3 rounds. But it was kind of the other way around. It was heavyweights slogging to a decision at to the 12th. And when I say slogging, barely slogging, kind of chest to chest hugging. And then Whittaker, the ring walk was longer. He was over and out within the first minute of the fight. But, you know, that's boxing, and that's the great thing about it. You win some, you lose some. And clearly that was a night of you win some, you lose some. So that's it, really. That's it for this week's episode. Nice, short and sweet. You know, good little roundup of the Saturday night's fight nights. We've got some fights on the 6th of December. The first one's to kick off December. So I'm going to do another episode on those next week. But that's it for me, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Take care. Bye.